Hi Brollies, Marvin here from TechBroll.com, where we do unboxings, reviews, and sexy b-rolls. And today we're building a relatively affordable custom keyboard using the Geek GK61X Barebones Kit from Banggo.com. We're also going to do a quick review of the Gold and Pink TTC switches, and we're also going to use a black on white set of keycaps. Now, one of my main goals on this channel for this year is to introduce more custom keyboards, so we're starting that here today. With that being said, let's get into it. Alright guys, so right here we have the packaging for the Geek GK61X mechanical keyboard. So this is just the Barebones kit, so it doesn't have keycaps and switches. And like I said earlier, we're going to build a relatively cheap or affordable custom keyboard. Alright, so upon opening the box, the first thing we'll notice is of course the user manual. The user manual is compatible with a bunch of different Skylum products or Geek products like the GK61, GK61X, GK61X, and a lot more. So this is also compatible with the dual mode version, and we have here all the necessary configurations, the shortcuts, and layer implementation. So at the back we just have the same details, just written in Chinese. Alright, so aside from that, we also have another paperwork. So this one is, I guess, a safety warning or a warning guide so that you won't mess up the switches, and of course the hot swappable board. So pretty straightforward, and we also have some sort of instruction for the split space bar. So I haven't told you yet, but this keyboard is actually modular, or the space bar is interchangeable to split space bar design. So after the paperwork, we have the Barebones keyboard itself. Let me just pop this out of the box. There you go, nicely protected by a plastic, and inside the packaging underneath here we have a few more items. So like I said, we're going to build a relatively affordable custom keyboard build. I'm actually planning on making more custom keyboard builds here on our channel, but I'll just start slowly, one at a time, and we'll start with the easiest, the cheapest one until we come up with something more expensive and elaborate. But for now, let's stick with this. So we have our cable. So this one is a USB Type-C to USB Type-A cable, braided, and also has a Velcro strap. So aside from that, we also have this. So this is the modular stabilizers for the split spacebar configuration. So later we'll install this and take a look at that on the keyboard. Aside from that, we have this accessory box that houses the included switch puller and a generic keycap puller, plastic keycap puller right here. But of course, I do recommend the CIY combo switch and keycap puller. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the Geek GK61X keyboard. So in my opinion, or as far as I know, this is pretty much the same as the one I've reviewed before, the GK61, just different configuration and just different design in terms of the modularity of the spacebar here at the bottom. So let's just do a quick parts overview first before we tore this apart and see the actual design and construction of this Barebones kit. So as you can see right here on the top view, we have a nice white backplate, and you can have an idea about the modular spacebar here at the bottom row, as well as the plastic bottom housing. So flipping it on this side, you can see that the profile of this housing is high profile, which means the switches later will not be visible. So flipping it on this side, pretty similar to most 60% keyboards in terms of design. We have chamfered edges here, and yeah, pretty similar to most Skylum and Geek keyboards that I've tried before. And flipping it here all over at the back side, we have the USB Type-C port right here. And flipping it all over at the back or bottom, we have 4 rubber feet to keep this thing stay in place, and we also have a Skylum branding and other technical details here. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the overall design. In terms of the build construction, of course, it is made out of hard plastic materials, and of course the plate is made out of metal. So let me just bring down my camera so that we can take a closer look at this Barebones kit. Alright guys, so like I said earlier, what we have here is the Barebones only kit for the Geek GK61X mechanical keyboard. So of course, we need a set of keycaps. So I have here a black on white PBT set of keycaps that I borrowed from James Yason Shout out to you, bro. Thank you very much for allowing me to borrow this. So I think he got this from Shopee for just around 1,400 plus Philippine peso, which I think is a good deal, especially looking at this set of keycaps. The quality seems pretty decent. Let's take a look at one of them. There you go. So again, I think this is PBT and of course double shot, as you can tell, with an additional material for the actual legend, and it actually spans across the entire keycap. This means that the legend will not fade away over time, which is pretty awesome. But of course, it is not compatible with RGB lighting or SMD LED lighting because of the nature of the design. Alright, so I think this is perfect for our kit because, as you can tell, our kit is of course also black and white with a white plate and black PCB. So I think this is perfect. Thank you very much again, James, for allowing me to borrow this. I'll probably not return this to you anymore. But yeah, we have here the black and white set of keycaps. And I think it is around 100 plus keys. Not sure exactly the specific number of these keys, but looking at this, I think it is pretty substantial even for our split spacebar configuration. Alright, so let's just move this out of the way and check out what we have here in terms of the other accessories, because James actually also sent me a cable, coiled cable, right here for our build. Now, this probably won't match our black and white theme, but at least we have an idea how the keyboard will look like with a custom cable like this compared to the standard braided cable that comes with the package. So again, we have a coiled cable right here. Oh yeah, before I forgot, we're going to use the TTC Gold and Pink switches. So I got this from Sir Irvin D, another member of the keyboard community here in the Philippines. So yeah, this is also available in Banggood, by the way. So I'll also put the link on the description. And later we'll test this out and compare this with like a regular red switch. So before we actually tore it apart, let's just check out the modular spacebar right here. So we have 4 screws to remove. There you go. So once you remove the screws, you can just pop it out. And the reason why we have a split spacebar here is that, of course, in order for you to have more freedom in terms of customization as well as different use case scenarios for the split spacebar configuration. So right here, we have the modular plate with stabilizers. So again, it is made out of metal, similar to the installed plate here. I don't think it has pre-applied lubricant compared to what we have here on the installed spacebar right here. This one has pre-applied lubricant on the stabilizers, but the other one doesn't look like it has. But that's okay. We can just apply lubricant ourselves. So installing it is pretty straightforward. Just pop it back like so, and of course install the screws, 4 screws here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws. So after removing the set of screws, all you have to do is pop out the plate and the PCB together from the housing. There you go. So it is actually quite easy to do. It is just a little bit tighter than I was expecting, but there you go. So of course, the metal plate is connected or screwed in on the PCB itself. So let's take a look at this PCB and the plate combo later. But first, let's check out the actual housing. So we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws, and you can probably screenshot this so that you can have an idea about the compatibility in case you want to use other casing. Like I said, you can use aluminum, wooden case for the Geek GK61. And we also have these 4 screws for the modular space bar. In terms of the build quality, like I said, it is made out of hard plastic. In its own self, it does flex a bit, but of course, if you do have the plate and PCB, it is more durable than it is. So I think this one is the compartment for the battery for the Bluetooth version. There you go. And you can probably put some acoustic foam here to dampen the sound. So right here, we have the PCB and plate combo. Like I said, we do have some pre-applied lubricant on the modifiers. There you go, which is very nice. For all the pre-installed modifiers, we have pre-applied lubricant. And then right here, we can take a closer look at the design or the legends for the modular spacebar. So we have the GK61XS. So apparently the board, I think, maybe, probably, is also compatible with Bluetooth. And later we'll check that out. So we have space and modifier 1 or M1. We have another space and M2 and space M3. So using this particular plate with 2 space bars, you'll have extra keys to work with. In terms of the hot swap board, what I like about this is that it is black PCB, and we do have the hot swap sockets inside that is compatible with any Cherry MX style switches, both 5-pin and 3-pin switches, because there are a couple of holes beside the center hole. And we also have here the SMD LED, or the surface mounted LEDs for RGB lighting if you're into that. Now, flipping the board at the back side, as you can see here, what we have here is the Gateron hot swap socket. As you can tell, I'll pop a B-roll on the screen, close-up shot of the hot swap socket. And yeah, like I said, it is using Gateron hot swap socket, and you just have to make sure that you'll be careful when inserting the switches so that you won't pop out this hot swap, because that will be a total disaster and you'll have to resolder those hot swap sockets. But yeah, other thing here, we also have this connector. I'm not sure what this is for. Probably for the battery. Let me know in the comments below if you have an idea about that. And then we also have here the USB Type-C port. And I can also observe here or see here that we have LEDs on the sides of the PCB, probably for RGB illumination, because I think I saw something like this that uses the acrylic housing, and it also has a underglow. Maybe it is compatible with that, but I'm not sure. I'm just showing you what I'm seeing here at the back of the PCB. So I think that's pretty much it for this PCB. I guess we can finally build our keyboard. So I'm not really experienced when it comes to building custom keyboards. I'm just starting out. And as you can tell on our reviews, most of my reviews are pre-built keyboards. But I want to slowly introduce custom mechanical keyboards here on our channel. That's why I'm doing this kind of, teardown, so that we can both learn at the same time. So let me just pop this back inside the chassis so that we can start installing our switches and keycaps. But before that, actually, a quick word from our sponsor. This portion of the video is sponsored by VIP SCD Key. VIP SCD Key is an online web store that offers software keys and game keys in a very competitive price and without the hassle of going to a physical store. One of the most frequently used software keys is none other than the Windows 10 key, and you can get a legit one from VIP SCD Key for only $20. But since you're awesome, you can also use my code SKTBR to get an additional 18% off and get it for only $16 or around 800 pesos. You can purchase using your Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, and more. And as you can see, I actually purchased one for my build, and once completed, you can now activate your license by going to Activation Settings in Windows, click Change Product Key, enter License, and click Activate. And that's about it. Pretty straightforward, right? So check the link below and don't forget to use my code for an extra discount. Thanks to VIP SCD Key for sponsoring this part of the video. Alright guys, so I'm done installing the screws back on our keyboard, as you can tell. And like I said earlier, I'm going to slowly introduce custom keyboards on our channel. And of course, ideally, we start with hot swappable keyboards like this and a Barebones kit like this. But eventually, we're going to build keyboards from scratch and probably introduce soldering as well. And of course, lubing some switches. I know a lot of you are asking me to include that on our contents. And this year, I'm finally pulling the trigger with custom keyboards and other accessories, cables, keycaps, and all that, desk mats, and all that this year. So let's discuss about the TTC Gold and Pink switches. Like I said, this is also available in Banggood. I'll put a link below so that you can check it out. So in terms of specifications, what we have here is linear switch with a clear top housing and solid bottom housing. In terms of the operating force, this is probably one of the lightest switches out there with a 37 grams of actuation force required. It has a pre-travel of 2 millimeters and a total travel of 4 millimeters. It has a 100 million keystrokes lifespan. And yeah, it is compatible with SMD LEDs, but of course, we're gonna use keycaps that is not compatible with RGB lighting, so there's that. Now, in terms of the actual feel, in my opinion, it is quite smooth. It does have some slight scratchiness to it, but for the most part, it is smooth up and down. There you go. And comparing this with a red switch, of course, it is lighter, as you can tell on this comparison, side-by-side comparison. So red switch is of course around 45 grams, and the TTC Gold and Pink switch is around 37 grams. Now, I'm really not a fan of lightweight switch. I always commit mistakes when typing on lightweight switches like this. But in terms of the smoothness, I'm really happy with this. So yeah, with that being said, let's finally install this so that we can install the keycaps as well and do some typing tests. I'll just probably time-lapse this. But before that, let me just remind you that when installing switches on a hot swap board like this, make sure that the 2 pins right here is lined up correctly on the hot swap socket. Otherwise, you'll damage both the switch pins and the hot swap socket, and you can probably pop it off, and that will be a total disaster, and you have to resolder them. So all you have to do is gently line it up and push it slowly. Make sure that there's not much resistance. If it does have some resistance, make sure the pins are positioned straight. There you go. That's about it. So let me just install all the switches here. Again, I'll just probably time-lapse it for you guys. So right here we have the TTC Gold and Pink switches installed on the GK61X keyboard. And like I said, these switches are quite lightweight and thus have a relatively smooth travel. I feel like if you lube these switches, it will definitely improve the smoothness of the switches. But out of the box, it is quite smooth in my opinion. Okay, so let's install the keycaps. Like I said, what we have here is a generic black on white. I'm not sure if there is a brand name for this, but it is from Shopee, Philippines. And it is a relatively affordable black on white set of keycaps. So, yep, we do have some number pads, modifiers, and different sizes of space bars right here. So, I guess we'll start with the space bar just to make sure we have the right size for this. Okay, so this one is 2.25U and this one is 2.75U. So I guess this one is here. There you go. And this one is here. Absolutely perfect. So yeah, we do have enough modifiers for our split space bar configuration right here. And now I'm gonna install the rest of the keycaps. And again, I'll just probably time-lapse this one for you guys. There you go. So as you can see, overall our custom build is actually quite minimal, clean, and like I said earlier, the black on white set of keycaps perfectly matches the black and white Barebones kit for this Geek GK61X keyboard. You cannot see the white PCB because it blends with the keycaps, but yeah, overall, this is good for those people who are looking for a black and white setup. There you go. And if you want, of course, you can also install or use custom cables. But like I said, what we have here is a purple custom coiled cable that James Yason lent me. So as you can see, we have a USB Type-C port here. There you go. Obviously, you can go for something like a black and white custom cable as well to perfectly match this keyboard. I just give you an example right here. There you go. Now for me, when it comes to custom coiled cables like this, it is more like for aesthetic purposes. But of course, having a more durable construction like this with braiding and shielding, it is more durable than the standard USB cable. And if you want, you can also use the aviator cables with quick release plug so that you can interchange your cables without damaging or adding wear and tear to your USB port. So yeah. So again, this is our finished build. There you go. So I guess the main takeaway for this video is that if you're relatively new to the hobby and if you want to build a custom keyboard, I think this is the best and easiest and probably the cheapest way to build your own custom keyboard with your preferred switches and keycaps, and of course the Barebones kit. Now, some of keyboard enthusiasts out there doesn't really take this as a custom keyboard or a legit custom keyboard build, because of course you just install the switches and keycaps and probably the custom cable and you're all set. But in my opinion, I still regard this as a custom build, because of course you get to choose your own keycaps, you get to choose your own switches, you get to choose your own custom cable to tailor with your own personal preference, and that's the actual essence of building a custom keyboard like this. But let me know in the comments below what you think about that. Nevertheless, it is a fun experience for me, and I hope for you too, especially for those who haven't built their own custom keyboard and like myself, just go for pre-built keyboards. But like I said earlier, I'm going to slowly introduce custom keyboards like this on our channel, whether it is hot swappable, soldered, expensive, or budget custom build keyboards like this. And I'm also going to introduce different accessories like desk mats, custom cables like this, probably do some comparison with regards to different non-mainstream switches and all that. I'm excited for this year actually, and I'm hope you are in for the rides. Now, for the functionality of the Geek GK61 keyboard, it is pretty much identical to most Geek keyboards that I've tried before, with the exception of the modular spacebar right here, giving you additional 2 spacebars and another key right here, which you can configure using the software. So basically, all the other features like lighting configuration, layer implementation is, in my opinion, or as far as I know, is pretty similar with most Geek keyboards that I've reviewed before. So I'll put a link below, or I'll put a card above so that you can check out my previous review of the Geek GK61 keyboard. But of course, before we end this video, here's a quick typing test so that you can have an idea how the TTC Gold and Pink switches sound with this keyboard, as well as the black and white set of keycaps. And there you have it, guys. Thank you for watching. Huge thanks to Banggood.com for sending the GK61X Barebones Kit. You can get this from their official website, link below. Thank you as well to James Yason for allowing me to borrow his black and white set of keycaps, and to Sir Irvin D for providing the gold and pink TTC switches. Now, if you live here in the Philippines, I would just like to invite you to join our Facebook community, Keyboard Addicts PH Group, for more lessons, poisons, and to meet fellow keyboard enthusiasts. Again, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like this, and see you next time. Have a great day, guys. You're awesome.